What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy. We hope you're safe. We hope you're satisfied. We hope you're healthy. We hope you are full. We hope whatever is going on, that it is a party in your life. It is the Dallas Cowboys postgame show here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, Twitch channel, and Facebook page. You can watch us live on any one of these platforms. You can also catch the rewatch there at your own convenience. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our podcast network, where you can also listen to this show after the fact. We have shows and videos and content coming out all week long to talk about the greatest team in the world. That is the Dallas Cowboys. And if you want to read about the Cowboys, get educated, learn a thing or two, make sure to check out bloggingtheboys.com 24/7, 365. We have a lot of stuff already in the can coming out after the latest Dallas Cowboys win, a 49-17 final score. Should have been 49-10 if one of the head coaches involved wasn't so petulant and could have just accepted things and not jeopardized everybody's health by playing for some silly little plays at the very end. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Brian Daboll, by the way, Brian Daboll has never defeated the Dallas Cowboys as the head coach of the New York Giants. Brian Rail, everybody follow Brian on TikTok at Talk Cowboys, says, "You still sound like crap." RJ Kevin says on YouTube, "RJ, are you feeling better yet?" I am feeling better. Thank you to those of you who are concerned, who have noticed the range, I guess, of my beautiful baritone voice. Last Sunday, when the Cowboys lost to the Eagles, I could feel the onset of a cold coming on. My wife and I, our son is about to be 2 years old. You know what it's like when you have a 2-year-old in daycare. They bring sickness home all the time. I've been battling it all week long. I am feeling better. I promise you, I sound much better than I feel. My voice is just a little bit thin from all of the sickness and all of the coughing. But we're not here to talk about me, although thank you, Rick, for saying that you hope I feel better. We're here to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. 49-17, the final score. Really, really, really difficult, I think, to kind of peel back this onion because it's a big, fat onion. Murder She Wrote on YouTube says, "Victory Polo Monday." That's right. Tomorrow we wear polos. Take a selfie. Tag me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. Threads, too, if you want to party on over there. If you don't have a polo, my friends at Homage have a great Victory Monday t-shirt. I did tweet out and thread out a link to that shirt if you want to buy it. It's nice. And it's a good kind of thing to wear, obviously, following days like today. I'm wearing the red polo today because the Cowboys went with the bicentennial stripe, obviously, today against the New York Giants. A historic sort of uniform for Dallas. It was a historic day. Dak Prescott setting franchise records. CeeDee Lamb setting franchise records. Obviously, all CeeDee Lamb does now is have 150 yards in every single game, 3 in a row for CeeDee Lamb. Beyond that, CeeDee Lamb, by the way, now in his last 4 games for the Dallas Cowboys, has 617 receiving yards. Last week, he became the 4th Dallas Cowboys player ever, I say ever, but in the Super Bowl era, to record 450 receiving yards in a 3-game stretch. He joined Miles Austin in 2009, Terrell Owens 2 years before in 2007, and Amari Cooper. But CeeDee now stands alone. He is the first Dallas Cowboys player in the Super Bowl era to record 600 or more. Again, he has 617 receiving yards in a 4-game stretch. He is one of the nominees for our star of the game. If you're watching on Twitch or YouTube, apologies. But if you're on YouTube, you can vote in our poll option. We hand out a star of the game for this. We have the wrong names here on the title here, but the nominees are Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, or whoever you want. Brandon Cooks was used in the game. By the way, Rick says 3 co-MVPs of the game for Dak, CeeDee, and Cooks. Dak Prescott, all told, at the end of this game, didn't play at the very end because it was Cooper rush time. 26 of 35, 404 yards, 4 passing touchdowns for Dak Prescott. Also had a rushing touchdown on the day. I hope you started Dak Prescott in your fantasy league, your daily league, your prop league, whatever it was. Dak did throw an incredibly ugly ball in the first half of this game. It was easily his worst interception of the season. It wasn't a tip pass. It wasn't a great undercut by the DB. It was just a horrible throw by Dak, but obviously made up for it. From a receiving standpoint, we talked about CeeDee Lamb, 11 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown. Got outdone. Wasn't even the most productive Cowboys wide receiver of the day. Brandon Cooks, hey, ho, wait, welcome. Brandon Cooks is on the Cowboys. Maybe we should use him. Yeah, I'm with you. Brandon Cooks, let me double check this figure, and I'll get this tweeted out in a little bit here. Brandon Cooks, prior to today, had played 7 games for the Dallas Cowboys, all right? In 7 games, Brandon Cooks had 29 targets, 17 receptions for 165 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Brandon Cooks in this one game outdid the yardage. Brandon Cooks had 10 targets, 9 receptions, 173 yards. Again, in one game, Brandon Cooks outdid 7 games worth of production, only had 1 touchdown, didn't match the 2, but still an incredible game for Brandon Cooks nonetheless. And hey, hi, hello, welcome to the party, Dallas Cowboys. Brandon Cooks is on your team. You should use him. That's something that we've been saying and we've been screaming really this entire season. So good for them from that perspective. And early in the game, a lot of people thought, and I'm going to apologize right now, I may have to cough a time or two throughout the show and kind of feel it coming on. I know that won't sound great, so sorry. Michael Gallup wasn't involved, and I think we all kind of had a difficult time with that because it was nice to see Brandon Cooks prioritized. Heck, it was nice to see Jaylen Brooks prioritized. Michael Gallup, though, still got his 3 receptions from Michael Gallup, 70 yards, and an incredible 41-yard touchdown. I said 2 receptions for 70 yards. Jaylen Brooks, who I mentioned, 4 catches, 39 yards, didn't score. Jake Ferguson caught the other touchdown. So it was the 3-headed wide receiving monster of the Cowboys. Jake Ferguson with a measly 4 receptions for 26 yards and the score. All told, it was just an incredible day. I mean, it really was. We have talked a lot about the Cowboys and how great they are at taking care of the bad teams. We've talked a lot about the Cowboys and how great they are at responding from losses. We obviously all know that the Cowboys have dominated the New York Giants. They've won 12 games in a row against the Giants with Dak Prescott under center. They've swept the Giants 3 years in a row. They won this freaking series this year by a combined overall margin of 89-17. And again, 7 points at the very end were really silly from Brian Dable. So all that being said, it kind of pointed to the Cowboys, having an impressive performance today. I mean, the line got up to 17.5 as late as Sunday afternoon, and the Cowboys quite easily covered. I do a show on the SB Nation feed where Steven Serd is one of my co-hosts. He took the Cowboys as his lock of the week as 17-point favorites. In case you're curious, the Cowboys have opened as 11-point favorites for their Week 11 game on the road against the Carolina Panthers. This is another quality of this team, that they take care of business. They take care of business at home. The Cowboys have now won an NFL-long 12 games in their home building. So we can sit here and we can have rightful claims about Mike McCarthy and things we do not like. Excuse me. I thought I could do this without coughing once, but we're going to power through. We can be upset about Mike McCarthy and things he does for the Cowboys that we have problems with. And none of this is to say that those claims aren't fair, but this is the hallmark of a great team. And excuse me if you've got kids in the car or whatever, but when you just go kick somebody's ass, I mean, that's what the Cowboys did today. This was not, I've used this expression before. This was not a game. This was not a contest. This was not something that was up for grabs. This was a decision. This was the Cowboys deciding, Giants, you got on the plane, you came here, you stayed in a hotel. We hope you watch something you enjoy on Netflix on Saturday night, because this is not going to end well for you. We are pissed off. We do not like the fact that we lost last week, and the Cowboys now have picked up another win in division. And this does not obviously undo the loss last week. And I honestly, in the week that it's been, haven't seen anybody who was mad with the Cowboys for the loss in Philadelphia. It sucked, obviously, but I think we all agreed that they played very well. Yeah, there were things we didn't like and mistakes and, things that we wish they would have overcome, but they played very well for the most part in Philly, and they came out and they did it again. There is a clear ocean of talent between the Giants and the Cowboys. And to be fair, I mean, the Giants were starting Tommy DeVito at quarterback, but I mean, the Cowboys blew out the best conceivable version of the Giants back in week 1 of the season, 40-0. So that's kind of my opening statement. Bubba Jay comes in and says, hallmark of a great team. That's a stretch, saying the Cowboys are great. Bubba Jay, I know you're going to say things like the Cowboys haven't been to an NFC title game in 27 years, going on 28, and whatever. The Cowboys are a great team. The Cowboys are one of the best teams in the NFL. You can think it's silly. You can laugh. You can come up with memes. You can come up with jokes. You can send me all the material that you find on Facebook. But the reality is the Dallas Cowboys are one of the very best teams in the NFL. And what we came into today wondering was whether or not they could live up to that. We have all been kind of wondering whether or not there's another trap game kind of lurking around the corner, kind of the way Arizona was for this team. And they have not fallen into that as of yet, which is nice to see. We'll obviously see next week on the road against the Carolina Panthers. But it's very easy to be very satisfied with the Cowboys. Kevin notes that Bubba said that Pollard let down his fantasy team. This was not a great game. I said Dame Lillard's obviously always great, but not a great game for Tony Pollard. That might be the one thing that I think the Cowboys didn't take care of. This was kind of a spa day for the Cowboys, right? Like you go in, you get refreshed, you get your back massage, you get everything kind of, you feel right and you feel ready for, the next event or whatever it is. But Tony Pollard didn't really take care of business in that sense. In case you're curious, Pollard finished. I say that. 15 carries for 60 or for 55 yards is not anything to be upset about. But Rico Gathers, 12 carries for 79 yards, 6.6 yards per carry. That's a little bit inflated. I had the touchdown at the very end. I don't want to keep being the person who says this, and I know a lot of you say this, and I hate kind of saying this silly little thing, but like Rico Gathers just runs a little bit differently. And I know that's kind of a lame general sports take, kind of a football, opinion heard on the radio, your average sports talk radio station. He just runs different. He does. It's kind of, indisputable at this point. So, for what it's worth, Rico Gathers, I thought was used a lot more. It seems the Cowboys might, be willing to agree with us in this sense. Rico Gathers got a lot of work on the first possession of the game. So, hey, the Tony Pollard thing was kind of the only, again, I wouldn't call it negative, but the only thing that wasn't on fire on Sunday for the Cowboys. It should come, as no surprise that all of my stocks today are a stock up. If you're new around here, on every postgame show, we do a stock report. I write about this as well at bloggingtheboys.com to also do an Instagram thing around it. So follow me there at RJ Ochoa. 10 stock ups. Some are a little bit of a cheat, I'll be honest with you, but no stock downs. Look, if you have a stock down, again, I get being fair and being objective and, holding the team to a high standard. I have a really difficult time coming up with a stock down today. So nevertheless, let's start powering through. Let's see here. Joseph, by the way, says, I'm not getting hype over this win. I love that we won. Just need to win the big one or all this is for naught. I'm not saying that you have to get hyped, but enjoy it. Look, right before we get to the stock report, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm put the comment back up here from Joseph. Joseph, the Cowboys probably won't win the Super Bowl, right? Like if you're playing, the odds game, if I gave you the Cowboys or the field, of course, we're all taking the field. It's a very difficult thing to do. But you know what? I'm going to enjoy this game because there will be a day in the middle of, June where, man alive, I am so football hungry. And I will think back to this day and how it was awesome and how I got to talk about it on the internet with my friends, despite the fact that I sounded terrible and they put up with it because they're all great people. So I'm going to enjoy this win. But let's move on. Stock up, CeeDee Lamb. Dude, wow, I think CeeDee Lamb executed the most incredible, if you want to call it diva move ever. I wouldn't call it a diva move. But CeeDee Lamb politely saying after the Niners loss, hey, I'm a really good player. It would be a good idea if you used me. That would be smart. Thank you so much, CeeDee Lamb. Thank you so much. CeeDee Lamb said that, and everything changed. We live in a post-San Francisco world when it comes to the Dallas Cowboys offense. CeeDee Lamb is blowing up. Dak Prescott obviously is blowing up as well. And it has just been incredible to watch. 617 receiving yards over the last 4 weeks for CeeDee Lamb. What? CeeDee Lamb is so great that the Cowboys could purposefully at the very end of this game be like, oh, we're just going to have him out here to hit his 150. That's what we're going to do. We're literally just checking off boxes. That's how low and little we think of you Giants. So CeeDee Lamb is just, Justin Jefferson's hurt, this is kind of a conversation that's constantly moving, but CeeDee Lamb is a top receiver at this point in the NFL. Certainly over this 4-game stretch, that's the best stretch of CeeDee's career. But as Adam says, CeeDee is that dude. Kevin says CeeDee is unreal. The one-handed catch was insane. That was at the very beginning of all this. Anwar, the Manwar, thank you for the super chat, says Cedarian the Leon Lamb is good at football. I agree with you. Majestic Detail says top 5. Yeah, I think the conversation changes on a weekly basis. Some weeks Jamar Chase is better, right? AJ Brown's amazing. Tyreek Hill, right? Some weeks some guys kind of go off, kind of come back down to earth a little bit. He is a top 5 wide receiver. He's in that club. He's amazing. CeeDee Lamb is, I believe that Micah Parsons is the best player at their respective position on the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb might be number 2 at this point. Like, we're reaching a point where CeeDee Lamb might be number 2. He is that good. He is incredible. Wow. So that one is pretty obvious. A lot of these are pretty obvious. Brandon Cooks. I wrote something this past week at our site about how Brandon Cooks was not being used at all. Entering this game, Brandon Cooks was experiencing career lows. And I want to put that in context. The first 7 games of the season relative to the first 7 games he'd played every season of his career, right? Like, not, measured against his career as a whole. He was experiencing career lows in targets, in receptions, and receiving yards, and in catch percentage. Brandon Cooks had a 58.1% catch percentage entering this game and was remarkable on Sunday for the Dallas Cowboys. 58.1. What is 9 out of 10? 90%. Hello. I mean, that math is super easy. Brandon, it wasn't just that Brandon Cooks was used more. I want to be very clear about that. And I'm not trying to say Brandon Cooks sucked at for the first 7 games this year, because that was not the case. It was this weird mixture of qualities. But he got the attention that he deserves, and he played out of his mind. I mean, it was nirvana for the Cowboys from a Brandon Cooks perspective. And, I wrote in last week's stock report about how I feel like Jake, if CeeDee Lamb is Batman, Jake Ferguson is kind of his Robin. I don't know what Brandon Cooks is. Like, I don't know the DC universe as well, but Brandon Cooks is his own Superman in his own right. He's nobody's sidekick. I mean, this was what we envisioned, right? This was what we hyped ourselves up over in the offseason, was this version of Brandon Cooks. Holy crap. If this is what the Cowboys get, I mean, they're unstoppable. I mean, they really, really, really are. Shane Davis says he was finally used down the field. That's the thing. Like, Brandon Cooks was used on these deep patterns. Like, he's the fastest dude on the field. You should be taking the top off of the defense. You have a quarterback who excels at the deep ball. You should absolutely be leaning into Brandon Cooks' strength. Well done. Romo Racer says, I love when the whole squad is vibing, balling, and so many get to eat. Great day, Cowboys. This was one of those days. Watsamata says, I suspect that all year Cooks has been open like this. It was just really wonderful to see. All right. So stock up Brandon Cooks. Stock up Rico Dowdle. I don't know anybody that disagrees. Oh, I like what Steve Lambert said, that Brandon Cooks is the Flash. That's well done. Avery says, Rico. I'm not at a place where I'm ready to say that Rico Dowdle needs to out-touch Tony Pollard, but Rico Dowdle has to be used more. I think we all feel this way. He is making enough of an impact that he has to be used more on offense. You have to get him involved. This is the same conversation that we used to have in different respects about Kevontae Turpin, about Deuce Vaughn, obviously, in the preseason. I mean, you have to find a way to get Rico involved. I'm fine with what Mark has suggested. Rico needs more goal line carries. He's clearly the more physical runner. I mean, use that quality. And I understand to a certain degree, you only have one ball. You only have, so much, that you can kind of spread around. But Rico Dowdle is absolutely taking advantage of things. You have to lean into that for the overall offense's sake. Gatlin Garrett says Rico equals Marion the Barbarian 2.0. I wouldn't go that far, but he's a physical dude. I mean, like, he's a physical runner. I think that's impossible to ignore at this point in time. Moving on, Jaylen Brooks. Dude, you make your first 2 career receptions in a game. I know that he had more than that, but the first 2 happened, obviously, when the game was still close, if you want to call it that. It was in the first half when things were a little bit tighter. Obviously, the calculus involved change in the second half. What a find for the Cowboys. I mean, what a really awesome thing to see. Who would have thought that he, would have had more receptions in this game than Jalen Tolbert? I mean, I would have never thought that would have been possible. I mean, we've been screaming about Jalen Tolbert getting more involved offensively. We were half right. But for real, Jaylen Brooks really, I thought, was impressive. And sometimes this is what you're going to need. You're going to need another person to kind of thrive while everybody's commanding different levels of attention. Now, in this game, everybody commanded attention and succeeded, so it wasn't a big deal. But what an awesome thing to see Jaylen Brooks have an incredible rookie day. Well done. By the way, Joe Brooks says, Jay Brooks squad. Well done to you, Jay Brooks. Mark, by the way, says Jaylen Brooks, who needs Noah Brown? Hey, I think we're all happy for Noah Brown. Speaking of 150-yard games, he's had back-to-back 150-yard performances for the Houston Texans. that would have never been something I could have possibly predicted. I don't think the Cowboys made a mistake letting him go. I think it just kind of is one of those things where it is what it is. Now, this next one might be my lowest stock up, like lowest qualified. I gave Jake Ferguson one. I think there were a lot of ways we could have gone with this, but he is very, very clearly a trusted confidant of Dak Prescott's in the red zone. And for a team who has struggled in that area, it's nice to see them developing more consistency. That play action touchdown was a thing of beauty. And at that moment, Loco, by the way, says, cough. Look, I'm trying, guys. I mean, you don't even know how much tea I've drank this week. I have drank so much tea. I've probably drank 10 gallons of tea this week. So it's been a tough scene for me in my household, wearing hoodies and sweatpants and chugging tea. By the way, Jay says, you need some tea, my man. I've been working on it. It's tough when part of what I do is talk for a living. But anyway, Jake Ferguson, I really thought that I've been on the play action. I thought that was Tony Pollard all day. I thought the Cowboys showed up to this game to scratch certain itches and to take care of certain things. Michael Gallup happened to be one of them. And I thought they were going to be hell-bent, obviously, on getting Tony Pollard a touchdown, but they didn't. So I really thought that was well done, well executed. I thought Mike McCarthy kind of leaned into what everybody was expecting. Jake Ferguson, as Adam Blank says, Witten Jr., again, I wouldn't go that far, but he's the real deal. I mean, I thought in the offseason, I didn't believe, because I thought a lot of people were just, sometimes people say, like, I think so-and-so is going to be really great. And it's really just them wanting that person to be really great. So I really wasn't buying in as much myself. I was wrong. You all were right. Jake Ferguson was right. Congratulations to him. Next up, stock up Dak Prescott. Now, I'll be honest, when I was, oh, by the way, Casey says, what's with the flashing lights in your office? It's Sunday Night Football behind you guys. That's what's going on. Alan, Chris, they're getting ready to call Raiders Jets. Anyway, I thought about in the first half, because I mean, the Cowboys were going to win, right? And I knew that. And I thought, like, well, how can I get a little cute with this? I thought about giving Dak Prescott a stock down because, look, I mean, the interception was ugly, but Dak responded. And I mean, everything outside of, did I say Mike Tirico or Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth? I obviously mean Mike Tirico. Thank you, Michigan, for letting me know. That's my bad. It's just kind of muscle memory. Anyway, this, I mean, I don't know where to put this in terms of games that Dak Prescott has ever played. I mean, I have no idea, because this was a masterful performance. This was Dak just dominating little brother. I mean, that's who the Giants are. Dak has never lost to the Giants except for as a rookie. I mean, he has been absolutely on fire as of late. We could sit here. I did a stream for my friends at the BR app last week where we ranked Dak Prescott among NFC quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts is amazing. I'm not here to, say anything otherwise, but point out to me the quarterback in the NFC who's playing better than Dak Prescott right now. You can't. I mean, he is on a different kind of fire right now. And I know people will say silly things and they'll make silly jokes and they'll have their memes and whatever, but Dak Prescott is undeniably, absolutely in his bag these days. All right, let's see. Let's get to a couple of comments here. Thank you very much to, or where did it go? Watsamata for the super chats. It's hanging there, buddy. I know the show's about the Cowboys, but we're also here because we are your posse. We look out for RJ. Watsamata, that makes me feel really, really, really happy. I really appreciate that. I love my internet family here. I love doing the postgame show. Not a lot of people would be as tolerant of somebody sounding sick the way I am, so I really do appreciate each and every one of you for putting up with me. I know that the coughing is annoying. Kevin says, Dak had a heck of a day. I'm not even complaining about the interception. Loco, by the way, I wanted to bring this up, says you can see the screen on the top left of the helmet by the wear jersey. The screen is reflecting off of it. This wear jersey, for the people watching the show, is a new addition to the office. I've been very fortunate to interview Demarcus Ware. I don't even know how many times at this point in time. We joke about it a lot. And D Ware, I interviewed him again on Monday. He's given me a hard time about not having something to commemorate him in my office. The jersey is here. Thank you very much to Marcus Ware. We at Blogging the Boys, all of our audience, we love you. All right. Let's see here. Casey says that Dak haters have been notably silent over the last several weeks. Shane said, I love this comment from Shane. Ever since he started running the ball again, Dak has become a dangerous quarterback again. And that's the thing. Like, we don't need Dak to be like Lamar Jackson, right? Like, we just, as long as it's a threat in his overall game, I mean, it just unlocks so much. And so, yeah, seeing this as a part of his repertoire is really, really, really impressive. The Star Wars curmudgeon says, I've been a critic of Dak over the years, but since San Francisco, he's been good. Just a shame you couldn't get it done on that last drive last week. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, I think a lot of people would blame Terrence Steele, but that's a fair point. Mark says 4 is getting more confident, comfortable, and what we need if we want him to win the big games coming. Jay says top 10 game performance from Dak's career. I think I agree with that. I also agree with Kevin. Says it felt like Dak was just picking and choosing who he wanted to throw to. I mean, I agree. Like, I mean, it truly was just like a Dak, like, I haven't hit Gallup in a while. Like, oh, there's Brandon Cooks. He's running deep. Like, oh, whatever. Dak has been amazing. As Nicholas says, MVP running. Yeah, that's what Micah Parsons brought up on his podcast on the BR app. He's absolutely in the MVP running. Kenneth Cook says, RJ, come on, man. It's the Giants. I really thought Trey Lance was playing the second half. Look, I don't also mean to do the, like, silly little whatever, but it's the Giants, and it's a Tommy DeVito-led Giants, and the Cowboys are 17-point favorites, but it's the NFL. And even if you believe that, and you should believe that, the Cowboys were 17-point favorites, and they won by 32 points. I mean, like, think about that. They were 17-point favorites, and they almost doubled that. Like, that's absurd. Like, that does not happen in the NFL. You don't kick somebody's ass that badly just because they're bad. Good teams win. Great teams cover. Really great teams cover almost by 2 times the margin that is ridiculously large in this particular case. As Avery says right now, the haters will hate. Y'all play the trash Giants. We all know how it goes. That's very, very well said and very timely. Michigan says, hey, RJ, you need to take a 1,000 milligram vitamin C with some orange juice and applesauce every 3 hours until your sore throat goes away. I'll let you all know my throat doesn't hurt. It's a weird thing. My throat doesn't hurt at all. I just sound terrible. It's just kind of where I'm at. So my voice is just kind of coming back. And whatever little bit I have right now, I'm using with you all because I love you very much. Jay says, I do hate giving up that last garbage time touchdown, though. If you'll allow me in my kind of horrible voice to vent, that was amazing timing. What the hell are you doing, Brian Dable? And I don't want to be like overreactionary, but what if somebody had gotten hurt, right? Like what if somebody had gotten hurt when Brian Dable was trying to play hero ball here, right? Like, what is the point behind Brian Dable trying to score a touchdown to narrow the gap from 49-10 to 49-17? What is that? Like, that? There's no honor in that. There is not a Giants fan out there who's going, you know what, guys? At least we didn't lose 49-10. Nobody is saying that. There's nobody out there. No Giants player saying, man, you know what? We really showed them, right? Like, we don't travel down to Arlington and lose 49-10. All right, we lose 49-17. I mean, that was silly. I mean, that was lame. That was petty of Brian Dable. The same Brian Dable who has never beaten the Dallas Cowboys. So, yeah, that was stupid, Brian Dable. I don't think that was cool. Anyway, moving on. Next up for me, I have 2 stock ups that I have broken in half, and this is the first of them. Sam Williams and Neville Gallimore, they got the sacks at the end of the first, or not in the end of the first half, but in the first half. Awesome to see. I hate to call them role players, but role players kind of getting in. A lot of you in the comment section were saying, where was Micah Parsons? I mean, the Cowboys saw a lot of these dudes kind of show up and eat. So it really wasn't a game that required Micah to be Super Saiyan. Similarly, stock up Dante Fowler and Demarcus Lawrence got the first possession of the second half started in the right way for the Cowboys. So, yeah, good job by them. By the way, D-Day 2 says Brian Dable, 2022 Coach of the Year, LOL. Yeah, Kevin O'Connell was robbed. I know that everybody made fun of the Vikings last year and the point differential stuff. It was ridiculous that Brian Dable won Coach of the Year over Kevin O'Connell last year, and we're seeing that play itself out week after week after week today in this in this NFL season. A lot of you bringing up Neville Gallimore's ejection. Yeah, that was tough. That was a tough scene. Like, I'm not advocating for that. That was a really not cool. I imagine there's a fine coming. Hopefully nothing beyond that, obviously, with regards to Neville Gallimore. Next up, Michael Gallup. Dude, I mean, this fan base has been really hard on Michael Gallup, and he's not played well. He has a big contract. So when those things happen, it kind of, all points in a certain direction. But dude, I mean, the 41-yard touchdown was kind of vintage Michael Gallup. Just throw it up. He's a big dude. Like, he'll go up and he'll get it. He'll climb the ladder. I know it's kind of like catch it in his body kind of thing, not like a high point of a catch, but it's awesome to see Michael Gallup involved, especially on a day where CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks were both eating to such a large degree. Loco says Gallup finally showed up today a bit. Great, great, great job, Michael Gallup. I have one stock up left, and I'm going to let all of you guess it while I check our star of the game votes. One stock up left. Remember, one left. So tell me who you think as I check our star of the game. The poll is now getting set to close. Again, this is just for our YouTube audience, so apologies. Man, this did not go the way I thought it would, so interesting. Let's get this prepped. Oops, that's the wrong thing. Star of the game, here we go. And your guesses for my final stock up are Mark says Gallup didn't start tonight. I'm just giving, I don't care if he didn't start. I mean, Gallup was awesome. Watsamata says Gallup looked good today, not just because of the stats per se, high point catch and traffic. Adam guesses Mike McCarthy. Oh, Perry joins in. Thank you, Perry, for the super chat. Says, I had the privilege of attending the game tonight. Got to say, Dak's leadership shines even bigger and brighter in person. That's my quarterback. Well said, Perry Peters. I hope you enjoyed the game, whoever you were with. You obviously saw a great one. Hope you had a great time, took a bunch of pictures, made some great memories, and that you get home safe. Bundle up. It's a little bit chilly out this time of year. Michigan says Tyler Smith. Kevin Wolf says Steele. Dave says Bland. I do not have DaRon Bland, but he became the last two players in the NFL to record 10 interceptions in their first 26 career games. DaRon Bland, Jaylen Brooks. Anyway, I don't see anybody who guessed it. No. Nobody's got it. A lot of you guessed DaRon Bland. I don't have a stock up. Look, I'm not going to take away from the interception. It was awesome, and it feeds that stat that I just told you, but it wasn't like a super impressive interception. You know what I mean? The stock is relative, right? Like DaRon Bland's stock is really high. Like at this point, he's got to do something amazing to further it even more. No, my final stock up, Mazi Smith. I saw the guesses right here at the very end. Shout out to Kevin and Watsamata and Loco who got it. I know we're talking small sample size. I know we're talking low bar, but this was the best game that Mazi Smith has played as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think there's any denying that. Really a problem early on for the Giants. And again, we're being a little bit generous with these things, but that's where stock is relative, right? Like Mazi's stock was really low. And I mean, being a somewhat kind of maybe problem, is an improvement in that sense. And so on a day, once again, where it felt like everybody did something, it was awesome to see Mazi Smith involved. There are days like that where sometimes some people don't do anything, like Micah Parsons didn't really have like a flashy moment, and a lot of people are pissed off about it. So that Mazi Smith was involved, I thought was really, really cool to see. Betsy says Mazi pancaked some dudes. Dave says, okay, fair enough. Made a play. I think you mean Mazi made a play, maybe two. Let's see here. There was another comment about Mark says Mazi and Hankins plugged the holes tonight. Really, it was what you want to see. It was the development and the growth that you want to see at this point from Mazi. So that was awesome. A lot of you are upset with Jordan Lewis. I don't have him as a stock down, but yeah, not the best Jordan Lewis game. We've had some rough Jordan Lewis games as of late. By the way, Watsamata clearly joking, says Bland was trash today, not even a pick six. Yeah. Oh well. Agree with Mark, says great confidence game from Mazi. Keep building. Well said. Shane says, have we really talked about how Dallas's D has been pretty solid against the run this year? Mazi's only going to help with that. Cowboys have yet to allow a 100-yard rusher. That's awesome to see. Saquon Barkley's obviously talented, but the Giants were pretty one-dimensional in this particular game, so it was never going to happen, obviously. Now, I do want to address something just so a lot of you can be aware. I saw Betsy answered this in the chat. A lot of you said you thought you were going to see Trey Lance in this game. Again, it kind of had that vibe. It felt like the Cowboys were going to blow the Giants out. They did blow the Giants out. Trey Lance is not a part of the active 53, or excuse me, he is not a part today, or normally isn't a part of the 46-man game day roster. Technically, Trey Lance is an inactive player for the Cowboys. He is simply the emergency third quarterback, a rule that was born out of Trey's old team in the San Francisco 49ers. So what that means is that Trey is technically an inactive who is allowed to suit up, and he can enter the game, but only under the conditions that both the top two quarterbacks, in this case, Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush, that both of them are either out due to injury or being tended or having their injuries tended to. Those are the only circumstances in which Trey Lance can enter a game. On the only way that Trey Lance could have entered this game could have been if he had been active today and Cooper Rush had been inactive / third quarterback. That would have been interesting. Watsamata notes an article that our own staffer, Jess Haney, wrote at blogontheboys.com. Jess did mention that. And I think that would have really indicated that the Cowboys were expecting to blow the Giants out. And I don't know that would have been a good look for the Cowboys. We can sit here, we can debate that, right? But if when the inactives had come out today at 1:55 Central, if Trey Lance had not been on it and Cooper Rush had, that would have given the impression that Dallas was expecting to, be chilling in the fourth quarter. And while that came to pass, it would not have been cool and would not have been a good idea to kind of act that way ahead of time. So those are the specifics when it comes to this sort of thing, just so everybody is aware. As mentioned, the Cowboys have now won 12 games in a row at home. The Cowboys are about to be at home for 3 more games in a row, but they have 1 more left on the road. The Cowboys will travel to take on the Carolina Panthers a week from today on Sunday afternoon. They will be, I know that they said it, but just so you're all aware, with Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olsen, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi again, and then again on Thanksgiving Day when they host the Washington Commanders. And so this is an important time for the Cowboys. We all know that. Next week has a chance to really swing things. I love the week before Thanksgiving. I think we all, as Cowboys fans, hold Thanksgiving in a bit of a different kind of way in terms of our holiday experiences because we're Cowboys fans, because our favorite team plays, because it's such a big part of the holiday. For anyone who doesn't know, my wife and I, our son was born the night before Thanksgiving 2 years ago. So it's really kind of added to the overall experience for me. And the week leading up to Thanksgiving is just so much fun. And when you're a kid, it's so much fun because you're out of school and you're traveling and you're seeing family, and then the Cowboys play, you eat all the food, whatever. Next week has the potential to really just be incredible for the Cowboys. If you think about it, on Sunday, the Cowboys travel to face the Carolina Panthers. A week from now, we're hopefully talking about a 7-3 football team. And then just to confirm here, on Monday Night Football, right after, the Kansas City Chiefs host the Philadelphia Eagles. And while the Eagles have been incredible in a lot of ways, the Chiefs are the Chiefs. And so we have the chance on Monday night, the Monday before Thanksgiving, to have the Cowboys be 7-3 and have the Philadelphia Eagles be 8-2. And that would be massive, massive, massive. It's going to be a little bit of a long road for the Cowboys to make up, kind of ground in the division. It sucks that Dallas lost last week, but all of their goals are right in front of them, and they remain right in front of them if they beat these bad teams. Panthers next week, Commanders on Thanksgiving Day. The Seahawks had an impressive win, obviously, today. The Cowboys get them on Thursday night after Thanksgiving, and then it all kind of gets really, 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 really stressful starting the week after Thanksgiving with that Seattle game. So I think I've pushed my voice enough. I know it's a bit of a shorter postgame show than usual, but I don't want to be coughing in your ear all too much. Let's wrap things up with our star of the game. The votes had it go to Dak Prescott. I really thought that this was going to go to CeeDee Lamb. I thought that Brandon Cooks would have been second, but Dak was I told you I could feel it coming. Dak was amazing. Again, I do agree, one of the top 10 games we've seen from Dak throughout his Cowboys career. Really just kind of in control, a lot of authority, a lot of power, an incredible disposition. CeeDee Lamb is the engine that's kind of powering this whole thing. This is the way I see things. And I'm a newer F1 fan. So if you're an F1 fan and I messed this up, apologies. I don't mean to be the person who watched Drive to Survive and then acts like I know everything. CeeDee Lamb is the RB19. He is this machine. All right. That's who CeeDee Lamb is. Dak Prescott is Max Verstappen. He has the power and the authority to kind of push this thing through, to put all sorts of distance between him and the field. That makes Mike McCarthy Christian Horner. I mean, just kind of the dude who's overseeing things, who's got this passion, who's overseeing and executing everything. That's the analogy I have chosen to go with, despite the fact that I have pledged my allegiance to Ferrari and not Red Bull. So if you are an F1 fan, I would love to hear whether or not that analogy made sense to you. If you're not, then I apologize for wasting your time for the last 30 seconds. All right. Schedule this week. Let's get it up on the screen for you. I've been forgetting to do this every single week. Obviously, tomorrow is Monday. We'll have a bit of some thoughts, the aftermath of the day's win. Tuesday, we'll be back for a live Blogging the Boys roundtable that starts at 8 p.m. Central. Wednesday, we will have a brand new episode of the NFC East mixtape. The notorious Brandon Lee Gowton will not be there this week because the Eagles have been on bye. So it'll be me and a very special guest. Thursday, speaking of, we'll have a game preview with a guest talking about the Carolina Panthers Friday, we will have our Madden simulation. Sunday, we'll be back here for the post game. And if we have any sort of breaking news throughout the week, we'll make sure to get you covered on our YouTube shorts. You can also follow me any and everywhere you'd like. I'm all over social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Threads at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. If you'd like to do more of a long form thing, you can email me, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com. The post-game videos are a little bit tough because there's so many comments. But if you leave a comment on any one of our videos, I'll also try to get to those as well. Mark says, keep drinking the tea, RJ. I had the same thing like you had. Take care. Appreciate that. Jay Arrowwood says, Michael Schumacher was the greatest F1 driver of all time. Well said. Ethan says, like RJ said, keep stacking wins. Enjoy the ride. We're playing for January. Loco gave me a stock up for fighting through the cough and doing the show today. Appreciate all of you. I say it all the time. I have the greatest job in the world. I'm such a blessed man. And to be able to share my love of the Cowboys with all of you and for all of us when the Cowboys win, when the Cowboys lose, to come here to talk and to discuss and to do so in a peaceful and a fun way. I've said this before, the high school version of myself, who had this insane passion that nobody would match, would just be so thrilled to have so many friends and all of you. So thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. Can't wait to do it again. The Cowboys won. They're 6-3 tomorrow. Victory Polo Monday. Tag me in all your photos. And we did it. No more coughs. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.